welcome to the episode 2 of the Insta Podcast 3.0. Here on the Insta Podcast, we strive to inspire everyone to choose the food that brings the good, as well as to dive into the nutrition and dietetics community to know more about it. I'm Rachel, your host for the day, and with me is a special guest, Dr. Lee Ching Li. Wow! Okay, so first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Lee, for coming on to our show. Before we begin, can you just give us a small introduction about yourself and your expertise so that our viewers can know you better?
Okay, so I'm Ching Li. My students call me Dr. Lee. So the doctor is a PhD, so I'm not a doctor that says people can, no? The philosophizing kind. I'm a dietitian by training. And I teach at the International Medical University, and I'm a lecturer there. Is that a good introduction?
Yeah. Good. Alright. So, alright. In today's episode, Sweet Solutions to Weight Management, we will be discussing one of the most widely discussed topic in the I would say in the world of nutrition as of now, which is non-nutritive sweetener. And before we even begin talking about what non-nutritive sweetener is, I would like to say that we're not demonizing food here on our show, everyone. We're trying to, the purpose of the show actually is to provide information about food in a fun way so our listeners can make more informed choices about the food they are taking in, and also ways to plan their diets and the food benefit to their health. So with that said, let's dive right in. So Dr. Lee, what are non-nutritive sweeteners?
So non-nutritive sweeteners, like its name, sweeteners, so it tastes sweet, right? But they contain no nutrients. Yeah, and I think the nutrient that I suppose you want to focus on would be sugar, right? Because they don't want it to increase your blood sugar, right? And also the calories that come from sugar. So those are non-nutritive sweeteners. So anything that tastes sweet, yeah, it may or may not taste like sugar, that doesn't give you calories or nutrients of some sorts, are non-nutritive sweeteners.
So in the market right now, something similar to equal?
Yeah, so in the market, usually what people would call them would be artificial sweeteners, or non-sugar sweeteners, right? And you have all sorts of brands, yeah. Equal is one brand, there are many different brands, right? And some of them are actually, say, maybe just chemical components. Some of them are actually proteins, amino acids that taste sweet, okay? Some of them are extracts from plants, like stevia, or we have now the sweetener from the monk fruit or longgor, right? Yeah, that's also a non-nutritive sweetener, but it's a plant-based extract. Yeah, so there are many different types of non-nutritive sweeteners out there.
Okay, so is there a specific circumstance that people should take artificial sweetener instead of non-sugar? Because if let's say if we're healthy and let's say we're just a normal like me, not that I know of, I'm not sick, right? There's no need to replace my sugar with the artificial sweetener, right? Unless by choice, I prefer maybe the taste. So in what circumstances would you as a dietitian recommend someone to maybe you should consider non-nutritive sweetener in your diet?
That's a loaded question. Okay, maybe go through the history, why do we have non-nutritive sweeteners in the market? So traditionally, it wasn't a really huge thing, non-nutritive sweeteners, right? People just ate what they ate, yeah? And then they realized that, this is the whole history of health, they realized that globally we face something called an obesity problem. So quite a lot of people are getting obesity, overweight. And with obesity and overweight, you get a lot of problems like diabetes, cardiovascular diseases. So then the next question for healthcare professionals would be, what can we do to help people not gain so much weight, to combat obesity, to treat diabetes, prevent heart disease, right? And if you look at the food trail, it's overeating that causes all of that. So overeating and exercising, right? And then you get this obesity problem. So they thought, okay, what if there was a way to modify food or how we take food so that it still tastes sweet, so that because we as humans we love tasty stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's normal. So then non-nutritive sweeteners came to the market. Yeah, so basically they're there as an option for someone to take that doesn't contain the calories, right, from the sugars, but still give you the sweet taste to enjoy food. And that's why they're there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Makes sense, right? Yeah.
Because we like to make things. We like to humans like to make substitutes and things, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
can put it that way. That okay, I can't eat sugar, but I still want the sweet. So
Yeah.
I make my own sweet that wouldn't
That
that I can eat.
Yeah, that doesn't give you the calories, so I
Yeah.
don't gain weight, right?
Yeah.
So initially when it was first introduced, and I think now still, there are many different ways of testing the effect of non-nutritive sweeteners on the outcome. I think the main thing would be weight loss, right?
Yeah.
Right? So we have different things like we have studies that are very short-term studies, and then studies that are very long-term studies. Okay, so the short-term studies, they showed that if you do feed non-nutritive sweeteners, because they contain no calories, right? Yes, people eat less calories. So the logical thing would be if you are eating less calories, it should
Lose weight.
yeah, you should lose weight, right? Yeah, okay. In fact, even like with diabetes, if they're non-nutritive sweeteners, when they did acute feeding studies, so I feed you a non-nutritive sweetener at different times, okay, and I fed you water, right? And then its effect on the blood, because it's the same, it's just like water. So then you will think, okay, so it doesn't raise blood sugars, so it should help, right? So that's the short-term studies, and that's why we see quite a lot of this in the market. In fact, now if you were to look at your typical beverage, you know, okay, different brands, you know, okay, Coke. So if you mention Coke, you have to mention Pepsi as well, and all the other things. So previously, when I was your age, right, the regular can of Coke or regular can of Pepsi would be sugar, and we would use that to treat hypoglycemia. So patients with diabetes, they've got really low blood sugar, so just drink that, you get your hit of sugar, so blood sugar goes up, it's good, right? But now I don't recommend it for my patients because if you look at the regular can, it is a mix of a little bit of sugars because they're trying to reduce the sugars, right? So that we don't take too much sugar and too many calories, right, for obesity management. But people still need to have that sweet taste. So they've replaced it with non-nutritive sweeteners.
Oh.
Yeah, go and check it out. That's why it tastes a bit different.
But they have the they have the zero option
Yes.
in the market, right?
Yes. So zero option is completely with the non-nutritive sweeteners. So you will see that the regular now has slightly less sugars. If I'm not wrong, if you have a can of Coke, I do not know, right? Yeah, because I was drinking it the other day and I thought it doesn't taste the same, and then I read the label. I thought, oh, no wonder it's not full sugar. You know. Yeah.
But I prefer, just to share, I prefer Coke Zero.
Yeah. Why? Because you like the taste, or?
I feel like it's smoother. The texture, I don't know. I just me, I guess. I'm pretty sure some of you guys could relate. I feel like compared to the original Coke, maybe because there is a recipe change. I wasn't aware of that until Dr. Lee brought it up. For me at least, there's a slight, no, actually a very significant difference in terms of the texture of the drink. So when I do regular Coke, when I drink regular Coke, it feels like something is in my mouth, like very tingly feeling that I don't like it. And then there's like a bitter aftertaste as well. It could be from the tin, but Coke Zeros are also come in forms of tin as well, right? The
Yeah.
zero option. So I feel like I prefer the zero one, the zero option.
So that's the whole thing about taste. You see, what's tasty for you,
Yeah,
not tasty
tasty
for
for
me.
others.
So I grew up with proper Coke.
Yeah.
Then you see, what do you mean, what's proper Coke? Well, it's Coke with sugar in it, right? So that was, or Pepsi with sugar in it, and that was the carbonated drink that I like Sprite and all that. That it should taste like that. So when it's replaced with a little bit of non-nutritive sweeteners, I taste the shift in the taste buds.
Right.
Right. So then I think that this
understand.
doesn't taste as
So
much.
it's like me drinking the origin.
Yes, and you're so used to
to
the
yes,
that's
the
right.
Coke Zero or the
Yeah.
Pepsi Zero.
So it's there in the environment now, either as you use it as an add-on, so if you're making a drink and instead of using sugar, you use non-nutritive sweeteners, or even in your sweetened beverage now, it's already there. Right, and it's actually there to to help people consume less sugar, to help people consume less calories, make healthier choices but still enjoy food.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
there
it's
for
an
that
option.
purpose. Yeah.
So we just mentioned about why it's there. So if I were to like sum it up, it's there as an option for people.
As an option.
For many different reasons.
Yes.
Could be taste, could be for health,
Yes.
could be for any
Yeah,
options?
it's mainly for health, right?
Yeah,
So trying to get people tasty products that don't have such bad effects on health. So which then brings it back to its effect, because when you eat something, you have an acute effect. So after eating it, there's an immediate effect, right? And then there's a long-term effect. Okay. So the confusion then, and I don't have the right answer to this, is that when we start to look at long-term studies, okay, on the use of non-nutritive sweeteners, so you're thinking, okay, logically, in acute studies, if it decreases the amount of calories, right, even if I feed, say, for 4 weeks, and then people lose a little of weight, it works, right? But then when they followed him up for years, then they found that, hey, hang on, we don't see the effect that we're expecting to see, we don't see the weight loss that we're expecting to see, and then they go, hey, so does it work or not? Right? And I think recently a review paper also showed that when they followed people up, they noticed that people who did more non-nutritive sweeteners actually had a higher risk of the problems they were trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Like cardiovascular disease and things like that.
In fact, when I was like reading up on the topic before the podcast, I came across because obviously when we type in non-nutritive sweetener weight loss, right? The first few websites are definitely news articles or guidelines from big organizations like WHO.
That's right.
So last May, WHO released the new guidelines on the usage of non-nutritive sweetener in weight loss, and they even come out with a news article on their blog saying that it does not confer long-term benefits in reducing body fat in adults or children, right? And adding on to that, in fact, the long-term usage increases the risk of type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
Which was the whole
purpose, right?
of
Yes.
the purpose of the
Yes.
existence of non-nutritive sweeteners
Yes.
or artificial sweeteners in this case, and cardiovascular diseases and also mortality in adults. So what?
So how now?
So how now? Yeah. So can we say that habitual consumption of non-nutritive sweetener actually doesn't?
So before we come to that conclusion that doesn't work, I think the WHO says they don't recommend the use, but they didn't say
Don't use it, right?
They didn't say don't use it. I didn't say it doesn't work per se, because when it comes to acute feeding is very controlled. I can always say, okay, come into my study, I'll feed you just immediately. You sit down, you're faster. Even if it's 4 weeks, you can just keep it controlled. But the longer the follow-up is, the less control I have over your health behaviors, right? So that's where you start to see, actually, not only with non-nutritive studies, a lot of nutrition-based studies. In the long term, they're sort of like thinking, where's the effect? Okay, and one of the things that they're thinking could happen is something called reverse causality. Have you heard of that before? Okay, reverse causality means if you're trying to look at the type of people who would consume non-nutritive sweeteners in the long term, what sort of people would they be?
People who are at risk of diabetes.
Yeah, they're already at risk.
Already
Yeah, so they're already worried. They say, okay, I have this maybe genetic tendency, or my BMI is a little bit high, so I'm going to do this anyway, right? So at baseline, they're already at risk. So maybe it's because of their baseline status that then increases the incidences of that. So there could be reverse causality, okay? It could be just a whole lifestyle thing, because when we look at weight change in the long term, it's not just only because of one behavior, like I just use evidence, right? It's a lot of other things. You just want a portion of size food you eat, are you growing older, what are the fats you take, are you exercising, and so on and so forth. And it's kind of hard to control for all of that. And that's why you start to see no effect. Yeah. Or maybe an increased risk.
But that increased risk, can we say it's not just from the consumption of the sweetener?
I don't know. We just see it's there side by side, right? So the non-nutritive sweeteners are there, but there's also reverse causality. So what is it? So that's why it's kind of hard to answer. Should we as dietitians recommend for the use of non-nutritive sweeteners? So in my clinic, how I do it, and I've always been very old school. So if you need to lose weight, okay, the first thing I would do is look at your diet to see where the excess calories are coming from. If it's not from your sugary drinks, then there's no need to work on that. Right?
So if it's very clear it's a lack of physical activity,
then exercise,
we
right?
focus on
That's
physical
right.
activity.
That's right. Oh, it's very clear that it's because of all your late night suppers, or eating too much, your portions are too high, or your fat content is too high, you know, then work on that, right? Now let's just say if it's from sugary drinks, and we know that Malaysians do drink a lot of sugary drinks, right? That's from your, I think it's from your Malaysian adult men study, Malaysian adult nutrition study. I think it's called MENS, MANS, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, and also from your NHMS studies, the National Health and Mobility Surveys, right? So it shows that Malaysians do take quite a lot of sweetened beverage, sugar sweetened beverage. So logically, if you have that, then you're getting a lot of calories from sugars that if you do displace or do without, could help, right? So the first thing I would go is, can we try and either go hardcore? So if you're drinking a sweet drink, say your coffee with sugar and the syrup and whatever not, then just drink kopi o kosong.
Oh.
Some patients are okay with that, okay? Some patients are like, I'll just go cold turkey. So if you can do that and just drink plain water, no, I think that's the best solution, right? Or you're saying that, okay, no, I don't think I can do without sugars.
Sugar.
So then maybe we just go for the kurang manis option, less sugar, okay? That could work. Or some people go like, no, I feel that even if it's kosong or kurang manis, it doesn't slide down the middle, right? And I can't do anything. Then perhaps use non-nutritive sweeteners, right? But then the overall understanding that calorie deficit must come from somewhere else must be there. So then it's for part of the treatment plan. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So viewers, it's not just the food we eat, it's also everything else.
Everything else,
Yeah.
right?
What we like, the physical activity we do also matters definitely, and it's not always about the sugar as Dr. Lee just
It
said.
could be a lot of other things as well.
So don't just think about the sugar.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's an important part if
To think about as well,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think what's important is you have to ask yourself when it comes to what we call lifestyle related conditions, obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease. They're called lifestyle for a reason. They're not acute. It means you live with them, you live with them, right? So you've got to find changes that work for you. So if you're going to change your diet, you've got to ask yourself, can I continue making that change for a long time? In fact, it has to be for life. I can't just make that change, then I lose weight, then after that I revert back to my old lifestyle. You're going to see your weight climb back up again. So once you make that change there, you got to keep that change, maintain that change forever. So it's like gradual learning of healthy behaviors.
Agree. So we touched on when or who should go on non-nutritive sweeteners, right? Is there a population that should not touch at all? I think we should
Good question.
address that, right?
I think, no, I'm not really familiar with the safety,
Like,
the safety, what do you call it, research aspects of non-nutritive sweeteners. So I cannot, I should have read up a little bit more. Because before a product is released, they will have to test that it's suitable for all kinds. So all kinds, I'm thinking, children, babies, pregnant women, adults, older adults, right? And the population that is most at risk would be of course, your young babies, pregnant women, and older adults. So I'm not sure. I think maybe some have been tested and they find for use for all. I think that's why they're available in the market, right? They use for all and they don't have a warning sign where you say, unless pregnant, do not take. Yeah. So always read your labels, right? So I think the ones that are on the market, established ones, should be safe.
Okay.
Consumption for all, okay? I think because with everything, it doesn't matter whether it's non-nutritive sweeteners or it could be nutrients or it could be even the toxins in food. It all has what we call an upper limit or a level where it starts to create negative health outcomes,
yes.
right? Okay, so our body is biological. So if let's just say if I was to take a little bit of salt, okay, this one for salt, or this one for sugar, my blood sugar goes up. It comes back down again. My body is able to regulate it. But if I was to pour a whole bucket full of sugar, right, then my body is unable to regulate it so quickly, and then I get the effects. Again, with non-nutritive sweeteners, there is that threshold, right? And you can always just Google, FDA or what is the upper limit, right? And usually, whatever sold in the market, if it's already endorsed or seen by health regulatories of the different countries, it will not be at the level or consumption, or the magnitude of consumption that will cause all your negative health effects.
it's the same for any other food.
Yes, it's the same for any other food.
So
Yeah.
for when it comes to eating, how should I put it? Moderation is important.
Yeah, so moderation is important. You know the basic boring healthy what is it? Variety, moderation and balance. Yeah. It always boils down to that. It's boring but it's really good sensible advice. And with variety as well, I've taken it one step further. It's not evidence based, so I rotate my foods, right? One day I eat this, the other day I eat that, because I want a variety of nutrients. But I'm also rotating my bad stuff, you know. Like if I always eat carrots, then I'll get the nutrients from carrots and also the pesticides that come from carrots. So I'll just switch it to pesticides from cabbage, and you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah, it's like the so-called cheat day that people put their
I'll just rotate everything. So I get a nice balance of everything, and nothing ever hits maximum load.
that something bad will happen.
Yeah. So like for sugars, for example, I sometimes like my sweet drinks, right? So when I do, I have my sweet drink, and then when I realize, hey, you know, too much already, then I go back to my just kosong the water, right? Yeah. And then if somebody offers me a drink with non-nutritive sweeteners, I might take it, but I probably wouldn't take it on a daily basis if I have no reason to do it. Yeah.
Right.
You know, I would rotate. I like to rotate, just to keep things fair for everyone.
balance as well to keep it balanced. So when we talk about non-nutritive sweetener, recently, while preparing for the podcast, I came across a study actually done on the Nutrinet Sunday cohort. So just to add a little bit into what Nutrinet Sunday is about, it's a cohort study done in France. Okay. That aims to study the relation of food and health, nutrition and health, right? So it's a long-term study. So particularly for non-nutritive sweetener, it's a 7.5-year-long study to see whether there are any cancer risks associated with non-nutritive sweetener, and also I want to see how much of a uproar study like this, cause in the public, right? Because Dr. Lee, you're a researcher, you're a lecturer, like I can assume that you know where to look for your information and know how to differentiate a good piece of information and not so good one, right? But the general public usually gets their information from news outlets, right? So when you have news outlets like Daily Mail actually covered on this Nutrinet Sunday research, and also CNBC from the States, and even The Guardian, even our own local paper, The Star, they talked about it pretty frequently, whether or not, or they actually narrow it down to aspartame, a type of non-nutritive sweetener. They discuss about topic whether does it bring cancer, and their headlines are always very jarring, like aspartame possible cause of cancer. These type of headlines would most probably bring concern to the public. And also I brought it up because everybody's talking about it, so I think we should talk about it as well, right? Look, I just want to ask you, like, what is your view on it? Does it actually
cause cancer?
Cause cancer?
Well, okay, so the truth is I have not seen that paper before. So when something like this happens, I would first go to the paper itself, okay? And I would read on how they did the study, number one. I remember we talked about reverse causality and all that soft stuff, right? So I'll take a look at who they did the study on, right? And then the results, but also I like to look at the dose. So how much of this was eaten for this effect? Then I will compare to what I'm already eating or what my patients already eating. Remember the dose? There's always that little dose kind of thing, right? So you'd want to check on the dose. What was the dose? Did you?
They did not write the dose.
We have to go back to the paper.
Yes, but they did mention that compared to non-consumers, higher consumer of total artificial sweetener, and they did explain what higher dose or higher consumer means the group of people that consume more than average in that population.
So what was average in that paper? Do you know? It should be hidden somewhere there.
It's hidden somewhere.
So when so you're starting to you have to read the papers properly. So you must first determine what is average and then what is more than average. Then only can you make that decision with your patient whether or not what they're doing is dangerous. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's always not just reacting to a news article, then going back, finding out where the source is, finding out the dose. I think dose is very important, who they did it on, then responding. And different people it could mean different things. You may have a patient who's already taking higher than average.
Right.
Yeah, I've got people who really just love the taste of the 0-calorie drinks. Yeah, and then they start to drink a lot, and then maybe it's more than average. Then I would tell that person, hey, maybe you want to cut that down to less than average. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it all comes down to
Balance,
moderation,
variety. Correct. Too much of anything
It's
is not good, even if it's a good thing. Yeah.
So can we say that we should like read into it more instead of just reacting? You did mention to be a bit more critical when we read something. Instead of just taking it as the newspaper say it's cancerous, then I should ask my whole family to not eat it and see, start criticizing.
So I think for the public, like if you're not sure, you read a newspaper article. If you're really not sure, always go back and ask your dietitian. So for me, what does this mean? I read this. Now for me, can I take it? You know, because there are many different types of non-nutritive sweeteners out there. So they are metabolized differently, and different people may have different underlying diseases. You know, maybe your liver's not working, your kidney's not working, and so for different people, you may have different recommendations. You know. So always go back to your dietitian, right? The dietitian will help you look through the science, and then we'll see what works best for you.
Go get yourself a dietitian. Alright, so actually we're almost at the end. So actually the last question from me to you is, what is your best advice, for people who want to lose weight through consuming sugar-free products?
If sugar is a problem, I would think work it as a health change. Okay, so I would say do not rely too much on non-nutritive sweeteners, because at the end of the day, what are you trying to do when you reduce sugar, the calories, right? But you also want to maintain that behavior. So you want to train your taste buds to accept something that is less sweet or not sweet at all. Okay, and it's workable. It takes about 3 months for you to train your taste buds. Okay, initially it will be a bit difficult because you're so used to a certain taste threshold. But then as you train it, after a while you get used to a new level of taste, right? And you want to do that because then when something is too sweet outside there, you now know, oh, this is too sweet for me. So you get to make your own choices, right? And you've trained your taste buds. But that takes a lot of like you said, dedication, maybe of discipline. It's slower, yes, motivation. So do not use non-nutritive sweeteners as a quick solution, right? So you just replace. It's not bad. Okay, if it's within the health range, then it's fine. But always tell yourself, hey, in the long run, how will I then keep my weight down? Do I want to learn how to like drinks that are less sweet? Okay, so if I'm going to want to do that, if that's the sort of person I want to be, then when am I going to start building those health behaviors? Right? And it's buildable, and don't wait until it's too late to build it, because I think it's best to start early. And that's a lesson I actually learned from my older adults, patients or older adults. Whenever I see them, they always tell me, I wish when I was younger, I'd done this. Can you please tell all your young students to go and tell all these young people? Or they say, can you please tell the young people to lead more healthier lifestyles, you know? So, do try and start when you can.
Do we just cut it off? Or would you recommend it to go gradually?
It depends on your personality or your what you would prefer. I like cold turkey stuff.
So you just
because if I cut gradually, it never happens.
They will go
I gradually go down, up, right? So it's like, okay.
Tomorrow
Tomorrow
I will cut. Today I have my same 2 tablespoons. 2 teaspoons.
Yes.
Okay.
So my style is like, once I decided today, that's it, no sweet drinks for me. And then, but it works for me. But for other people, it might be too drastic. What do you mean? I've always done this, and now you tell me no sweet drink. So for those people, then you want to cut down slowly.
So there's no right.
There's no right or wrong. It's always what works for you to develop that healthy eating habit that you can maintain for the rest of your life. Because trust me, I'm much older than you guys, and I used to be slimmer. Then as age comes, you have a baby, things like that. Then you start to gain weight, right? So there's a lot of things you're fighting against. Really trying to stay slim, to keep diabetes off, cholesterol levels down. So if you can start earlier to build healthy habits, healthy eating behaviors, and exercise regime, and get used to it, it'll be so much easier for you when you hit my age or older adult age,
It's lesser things to worry about.
because it's part of your life already. So if it's part of your life to eat your vegetables, to drink plain water, to move, it's not an issue, right? And if you've been doing it earlier on, then you are not likely to get all these problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't start to develop a healthy lifestyle now when you're young, then by the time you need to develop it, you're much older, you're much more set in your ways, then you have to develop it, and then it becomes an uphill task. Not that it's impossible, it's possible because you're driven by certain other motivations, but it could make it easier if you start early rather than
when I'm sick. Or like when something is about to happen, a negative effect is about to come out.
Although in terms of health behavior, I know we're just going off a little bit off track. But if someone is really sick, so something really bad happens, like for example, you get a heart attack, that could be an impetus to tell you, I'm going to go cold turkey, and that works also.
That surge of motivation.
Because you have to do it, the urgency to make the changes there. So that is my last word on non-nutritive sweeteners. I think non-nutritive sweeteners or not, try and start developing healthy lifestyle behaviors that you can inculcate and make as part of your personality or lifestyle, so that you remain healthy for as long as you live.
Agree. So I believe we have covered everything that we're supposed to today, and thank you again, Dr. Lee, for coming on to our show. And before we sign off, do check us out on our social media. There in the description box below. And also, Dr. Lee, if any of the viewers they listen to you speak today and they say, I want to see a dietitian, and I want specifically Dr. Lee Ching Li, is there a possible way they could find you?
I do practice. You could call up the IMU Healthcare. This is not a plug for IMU Healthcare. We are not sponsoring this. You could call up the IMU Healthcare clinic and ask to see me, Dr. Lee Ching Li. But my clinic is only on Wednesdays, right? Oh, I tell you what, I'm going to do a plug for you guys. We're actually broadcasting from the student diet clinic, right? So you could actually come and see one of our student dietitians. They are supervised as well.
Yes.
For diet consult, it's free.
It's free.
It's free, and you also get to have a good body composition. Yes. We've got state-of-the-art body composition analyzer, right? Basically, you just stand there in your hole, and it uses bioelectric conductance, and it tells you your body composition. It tells you how much muscle you have in your right hand, right leg, left leg. So you get to really know where you stand before you make the changes. Then you meet your friendly student dietitians, make your dietary changes, and then you see how you improve. And it's free. Right?
And I'm just gonna say, it's not we're not paid, we're not sponsored, but SDC they have several events going on right now, so we'll leave SDC's handle in the description box below, or like any link. Claire, do your thing, okay? And also just go and, even if you don't come, just go. They provide very simple general dietary information there as well. Check them out, and also check us out at Insta. Again, everything is in the description box. And so that's it for today's episode. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you the next episode. So this is Insta Podcast, inspiring everyone to choose the food that brings